It's always a pleasure to meet Astikas, those who have faith in God, faith in religion, faith in spiritual values, faith in Hindu religion and culture and way of life. Generally nowadays, because of health reasons, I have been forbidden from accepting a large number of engagements, not only outside Bangalore city but also inside. But even against medical advice, I have made an exception. Whenever the call comes from temples, religious functions, and the satsang groups of our ashram devotees, and youth groups and movements, I make an exception. So as soon as Sri Venugopal and Mr. Srinivas requested me to come, without a single word of demurring, I accepted it. And I am glad I did so. While introducing, it was said that I might speak on Rudra. But I think it is not necessary for the simple reason that the handout that we have made in English is a beautiful summary, giving in a small compass not only the contents of Rudra and Chamaka, but also the philosophy and the spirit behind it. So I will speak in a more general way. The very name of the institution starts with the verse Trividya. Trividya and Hisru? Triveda Vidyalaya. Now let me take up these words and see what they actually mean. The word Trayi means a group of three. In fact, this word has been used a number of times in our scriptures and associated works to refer to the three Vedas, Trividya. But now we know that there are four Vedas, Rig, Yajus, Sama and Atharva. Then why did they use the word Trayi? They should have said that there are four Vedas or four Vidyas. Scholars answer this question in two different ways. One group of scholars thinks that originally we had only three Vedas, Rit, Yajus and Sama. Chronologically speaking, the Atharvana Veda came later. People have peculiar psychologies and they try to discover, or I can even say invent, new reasons for their propositions or theories. So according to this group of scholars, originally there were only three Vedas, and the fourth group, led by the Rishi Atharvan and his disciples, they were not acceptable to the rest of the society. So there was something like a struggle between this group and the rest of the people in society. So gradually in course of time, the holy men of the fourth group, their mantras, their rituals, their works had to be given recognition, and ultimately Atharvana Veda found a place. So if you accept this theory, Trayi refers to the first three Vedas which are more ancient. Chronologically speaking, Atharvana Veda came later. There is also another theory that at the end of the Mahabharata war, because of the serious differences of opinion with the rest of the society, the sages of the Atharvana Veda en masse left this country, went to Persia, which is called as Iran nowadays, where the religion of Zoroastrianism took its birth. And their work, Zenda Vesta, contains plenty of ideas and even words borrowed from the Atharvana Veda. This is one view. Well, we do not know what is true or what is not true in all these things, nor are we interested in the scholastic side of these discussions. But there is another meaning, second meaning given to the word Trayi, which is acceptable to all of us. There is Padya Rupa Veda, there is Gadya Rupa Veda, there is Gana Rupa Veda. So that is Trayi. Padya is the Rigvedic mantras. And we have in poetry mantras in the other three Vedas also. Gadya, mostly the Brahmanas in all the four Vedas. And Gana is Samaveda, which is 99.9% Rigveda, but set to music, the Saptaswara system. The Rigveda contains nearly 11,000 mantras, Samaveda contains about 6,500, practically taken from the Rigveda. So that is Trayi. Then what is the meaning of the word Veda? With Jnani. Veda means Jnana, knowledge, wisdom. Does it mean that any knowledge and any wisdom can be given the name Veda? No. The tradition doesn't accept it. Veda, Veda Vidya actually refers to Apaurusheya Vidya. So that knowledge, that wisdom which has come to us from the divine or from the divine through the great saints and sages and seers called rishis, and that body of knowledge which helps us to get what we want in life but which we cannot get through Manushya Prayatna or human effort, which we can get only through divine grace, that knowledge or wisdom is called as Veda. So it tells us the alaukika upaya for the attainment of the fruits and results we want. But even then, the stress in the Vedas is always on the spiritual side, spiritual aspect. Those of you who have studied a little of these Vedas know that they speak of the transcendental things. You have been studying the mantras from the Vedas, you have been chanting them with appropriate swaras. Sri Venugopal and Mr. Srinivas are experts in this field. And tomorrow you are also going to have a big yaga, Maharudra yaga. In all these things, Vedic knowledge, Vedic wisdom, Vedic chanting is very intimately connected, associated. Probably we have to remember one thing here, which Bhagavan Shankara points out in some of his commentaries. He says in one place, I don't remember exactly where he has said, that in the olden days, when these Vedic mantras were chanted during the sacrificial rites, inviting the gods to come and accept their share of the offerings, oblations poured into the sacrificial fire. For instance, the word Hota, Hotru, the priest of the Rigveda, the very word means one who invites the gods to come. So when it was done, the gods like Indra, Mitra, Varuna, Vayu, Ashwini Devatas, they used to come actually present themselves physically in the Yagashala. People could see them with their own eyes and they would accept these offerings. Why? Because the people of those days who performed these sacrifices, their life was clean and pure. They performed these sacrifices properly as per the rules and regulations given in the scriptures, and more than everything else, they had faith, tremendous faith, and that works wonders. But today, Shankara says, today the people of our times, they don't have much faith. They only know the letter and not the spirit. They don't feel the vibrations within themselves. so gods don't come. Does it mean that our karmas are waste? No. They may not come in a form which is visible to our eyes. Divyam dadamite chakshuku. We don't have the divya chakshus, but they come in sukshma sharira and accept these offerings. Let me digress a little. Even today, we have a number of homas performed not only in temples and religious places, but also in one's own home. For instance, Ganapati Homa, Sudarshan Homa, Chandi Homa, and Satyanarayana Vrata or Puja. They are very, very common today. You may be surprised to know that in one place, when a Homa for Mahalakshmi was being performed by a group of competent priests who knew the mantras, chanted the mantras very correctly, performed the whole ceremony with great shraddha, meticulously. That was being photographed. Slides were prepared out of that. The person who was taking the photograph was a foreigner, not an Indian. So when the mantras were being chanted at a particular stage, the dhuma was coming up, the smoke. Suddenly, the man became very, very nervous. He was seeing something. He had taken 2-3 slides, but he could take pictures no more. He kept away the camera. Others asked him. He said, I cannot describe. When it was developed, one of the pictures showed Sakshat Mahalakshmi rising from the fire with Kamalas in her hand. It is still there. Now how do I know? Well, you may be surprised to know the source. The source is not an ignorant Brahmin priest or a superstitious person. The source is a very eminent neurosurgeon who was the head of the NIMHANS. He himself didn't believe it, but afterwards he had to, and we had a slideshow of this in our ashram probably 3 years back. Maybe some of you have seen that. Now what does it show? It shows that these mantras have great power, provided you know how to use them. That is exactly what Shankara meant when he said that the Vedic gods would come and accept the offerings. Now coming back to these homas, and approach them today, you will get a date after 2.5 years. And what is the speciality? You may believe me or may not believe me. People who were absolutely mad, given up for lost forever, they were cured by the performance of Chandi Homa in the presence of the patient, performed by the relatives or the other members of the family, but with great shraddha and as a or the last resort. These have been recorded. One more example I give you. All of you have heard of the famous Shivaram Karant, the famous author of Kannada. He had an elder brother, he is no more now. Sri Vasudev Karant, he was an electrical engineer, a disciple of our order. He had taken Mantra Diksha. I knew him personally when I was in Mangalore. He used to come to our ashram. He has written a wonderful book, Devarunu Nambuva. Many incidents are given in that book. When he was an electrical engineer, he had been posted to Madras city. He was a government servant of the old Madras government. So he was trying to find out a house for himself. Finally he fixed up a house, and the rent also was quite cheap. And as soon as the house was fixed up, When he was about to occupy it, his neighbors came and whispered into his ear, "Sir, why did you take this house? It is a haunted house. You should not have taken it. In fact, nobody has come here. You are the first person to opt for it. Whoever has come has run away within 1 or 2 days." He said, "Why? What is the matter?" He has himself given an account of this. And they said, one lady committed suicide in this house about 10 years back in that particular room. That particular room is haunted, and the effect of that haunting is reflected in the whole house. Then Sri Vasudev Karan said, "All right, I am prepared to face the challenge." He got the whole house cleaned. Whatever religious ceremonies had to be done were done. And he chose that room to live. And that very night, from that very night, he started seeing the ghost of that lady. Of course, she would appear and disappear. She would not harm this man in any way. Then he took pity upon that. It's a preta. The preta is in duravastha. The rites and rituals that had to be done to release that from this avastha had not been done properly. He took pity upon her. So what he did, he took a pratigna. I will do Gayatri Japa so many lakhs of times. So every day, morning and evening, he made it a shrine room and did Gayatri Japa for 1 full month and completed his whatever pratigna he had taken, and the spirit not only disappeared, it disappeared happily. So what does this show? So the Gayatri mantra, which most of us are initiated with and which we chant, it is not an ordinary mantra of 24 letters. It has got tremendous power in it. And this power was exhibited by Sri Vidyaranya. It was exhibited by no less a person than Gopala Dasa, Vijayadasa's disciple. He took pratigna and did it for 1 year and repeated it some 1 or 2 crores of times, and the result was many siddhis he got. So all these things show that the Vedas, Vedic mantras are very, very powerful. If they are not yielding their fruits and results, the fault is not theirs, it is our fault. We don't have much faith in them, and we are not practicing them as they should be practiced. Here we have to note 2 things. One is this Swarasthana. Of course, there is a funny story in the Vedas and Puranas that the Vritrasura's father made a mistake. Indrashatru was the word used, but since the Swara was changed, the meaning changed in breaking up the Samastapada. And as a result, he got a son. Instead of a son who should kill Indra, he got a son who would be killed by Indra. This change of meaning was affected by the change of Swara. You know, there is the usual Samhita Patha, then there is Pada Patha and all that. When you come to Pada Patha and Karma Patha and all that, the breaking up depends upon the Swara of the Samhita Patha. So the breaking up again gives us the Samastapada divided into Vyastapada, broken into different words, and the relative meaning also changes. That is the first point we have to remember. Now this takes us to a corollary. Suppose I think I am a musician. I know Swarasthana. I can listen to Vedic chanting from a tape. And then I can start. So we have got our Saswar Veda mantra, the marks are there. And I have listened to Sri Venugopal's tape or somebody else's tape, and then I can learn it by myself. Not a bad idea. Because instead of not knowing what Vedas are, it's better, something is better than nothing, but better to do it silently. Why? Because we are not conscious of the mistakes we make. When it is learned from the Guru, Guru Mukha, that's the tradition. The Guru knows what mistakes you are making, and corrects. Tape recorder cannot correct it. This is a point we have to remember. So that is about this swara. Secondly, there is another thing connected with that. It is achara. You cannot straight away come from the office with the dirty clothes and sit on the easy chair like this and start chanting Rudra because you know how to chant it. It is atrocious, I tell you. People think that they know. And mantra snana, mental snana is enough. ಇದು ಅಪರಾಧ ಕ್ಷಮಾಪಣ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ಇದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಪಾಪ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. So it's not something which will cancel everything else. So there is an achara behind it. If you want to chant the Vedic mantras, there is desha, kala and avastha. In which place, which time, in which condition. You have to take bath, put on fresh clothes, maybe you have to fast, and you have to do your sandhya and other karmas and rituals, and then practice them. All these things have been prescribed by our ancient rishis because they were scientists in that field. Suppose you want to perform an experiment in any field of science. You cannot do it as you like. There are some preconditions. Only when the conditions are fulfilled, the experiment will be successful and will yield you the right results. So this is what we have to remember while learning Vedic chanting or while teaching it to others. Then coming to the message of the Vedas. We have a famous statement in the Rig Veda, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. In another part of the Vedas, we find another sentence which is similar, Ekam Jyotihi Bahudha Vibhati. Both mean practically the same thing. God is one, sages call him by various names. That is what Sri Ramakrishna has been telling throughout the gospel. That's all right. Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. Now if we have understood it properly, what is it that we have to do? If God is one, but if he is called by different people by different names, it is absolutely meaningless to quarrel in the name of religion. Sri Ramakrishna says, people think my watch alone is correct. Nobody's watch is correct. The sun alone is correct. S-U-N. So like that, God is one, but he can be seen in various ways, called by various names. Once we understand this, all kinds and types of fanaticism and dogmatism can be given the go-by. God has given wonderful religions through great saints and sages throughout the history of mankind. If we do not make use of that wisdom, we are the people who will be losing. The world can be made either a heaven or a hell. We have chosen to make it a hell. It's not the fault of God. Sometimes our devotees ask me, well, Swamiji, Bhagavad Gita says, yada yada hi dharmasya and so on. Today dharma is at the lowest level. Adharma is practically ruling everywhere. Why is it that God is not coming to save us? This question can be answered probably from two different standpoints. First standpoint, those who say, we think that we are all Mahapurushas and Satpurushas. And every other person is an evil person. So if God comes, his donne should fall upon somebody else's head first. But according to God, I may be the first person. Isn't it? So God knows better. So in that case, it is better he doesn't come. The second standpoint is even more interesting. In the olden days, God had self-confidence. If I come, I can set it right. Today, even he is afraid. Well, that is by the way. But the reality, the truth is, who is the person to decide? It is God who decides and not we. So if we are so much interested in pulling God down from heaven to our place, if the sins we have committed is not enough, let us commit more sins. then finally he will be forced to come. Well, that is all by the way. So, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti is one great message the Vedas have given to us. The second message that the Vedas have given us, of course by the word Vedas I am including the Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads and allied literature. The second point that the Vedas have made is that ultimately we are one with God. Tattvamasi Shvetaketo, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma. What are called as the four Mahavakyas. God the Supreme, and what is here as the Antaryamin, our essential true nature, they are ultimately one and the same. That divinity is within us. Sri Ramakrishna says in one place, a lamp is burning, light is burning brilliantly, but nothing is coming out because the glass chimney is dirty, covered with soot. Go on cleaning it. To the extent the soot becomes clean, the chimney becomes clean, to that extent light percolates and comes out. God is there, Antaryami, as the Antaryami, Ishvara Sarva Bhuteshu, and so on. So, ultimately, we and the Lord are one and the same, in essence. Because there are differences among the Vedantic philosophers. But our Yatishraman used to say, suppose there are two images made of clay. There is a clay mouse and a clay elephant. Elephant is elephant, mouse is mouse, but both are clay. So as Jnana, as Chaitanya, they are identical. So in that sense, ultimately, what is called as Sat, Sadvastu is our essential nature. In reality, we are that. Then the third point that the Vedas, the scriptures make is, the final goal of life is to know this Parama Purusha. Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam. Nanyak Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. There is no other way except knowing, realizing this Parama Purusha. I have known, you can also know. And for moksha, there is no other way except this. Jnana, Anubhuti, Anubhava of the Parama Purusha. That is the final goal of life. Anavritti Shabdat. The last sutra of the Brahma Sutra says, the scriptures, Chandogya, says that once you go by the bright path, Devayana, Archiradi Marga, reach Brahmaloka, you will not come back. That is the final goal of life. God realization, God experience, becoming one with Brahman. Yatha nadyaha chandamanaha samudre astangachanti namarupe vihaya. That's all right. That's the goal of life. But how to reach it? It's very easy to give lectures, but show us the way. And the rishis have shown the way. Taittiriyopanishad, Acharyopadesha, in the very beginning, the rishi says, Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara. Vedam Anucha Acharya Antevasinam Anushasti. Now this also is very interesting word, Anushasti. He is not giving a shasana, I am telling you, you obey me. Non helting kela, no. My Guru, his Guru, has said like this, declared like this. Anu, following in the path, in their footsteps, the path shown by them, I am giving you. What I am giving you is the teaching, and the command, the power of command comes from the Parampara, Guru Parampara. The very first word is Satyam Vada, second word or sentence is Dharmam Chara. Sometimes people come and tell us, Swamigalaya, idella sannyasigalige namagalla. But the teaching given in the Upanishad is by the householder rishi to the disciple who is about to become a householder. It's not for sannyasis. Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. Well, let us again try to analyze these two words. What is Satya, what is Dharma? Normally we think that speaking the truth, and Just act according to what the rules and regulations given in holy books. This point has been discussed nicely by Lord Krishna in the Mahabharata. There is an interesting incident. Arjuna has gone elsewhere. He was not in the battle, had not gone to the battle that day. And Yudhishthira went to the battle. He was nicely beaten by Karna. He came back. And then when Arjuna went to see him, he scolded Arjuna's Gandiva. You better throw away your Gandiva. What is this? In spite of you and your Gandiva, see how badly I have been wounded. Immediately Arjuna took out his He scolded Arjuna's Gandiva. You better throw away your Gandiva. What is this? In spite of you and your Gandiva, see how badly I have been wounded. Immediately Arjuna took out his sword. He wanted to cut off the head of Yudhishthira. Krishna held his hand and asked him, what is the matter? You see, I have taken a pratigna. Whoever criticizes my Gandiva, I will cut off his head. Oh, so you want to fulfill the pratigna? Very good. Then Krishna gave him a long discourse about what exactly Satya is. So the test for Satya is Sarva Bhuta Hita. Not just speaking something. Suppose I take a vow. Tomorrow I shall beat my neighbor nicely. And tomorrow I try to do it. Of course, today it is very difficult to do it. Satya. Na pratigna madbittidini. Pratigna fulfill madlikkoskara madadu. It's idiocy, absolute idiocy. So Krishna points out this. First and foremost thing is, the pratigna you have done, is it according to dharma? Is it accepted by the Shastras? Has it been accepted by the Guru Parampara? You think of that. And what you speak, what you do, must bring about the greatest good of the greatest number. Then only it is Satya. So ultimately Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, God is Satya, the eternal truth, Trikala Abadhitam Satyam, as Shankara puts. And secondly, this Satya as Paramapurusha, God, Brahman, is acting as Rita through this world, regulating the activity of every item in creation, Rita, cosmic law. And when we, through this little intellect, understand it, and try to express it, it becomes Satya. And when we try to put it into practice, it becomes Dharma. They are all interconnected. Satya as Brahman, Satya as a principle, Rita as the cosmic law, and Dharma as righteous conduct. So Satyam Vada Dharmanchara means, first of all you understand things from Guru Mukha and Shastra, do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, come to correct conclusions, then give expression to it. There is a beautiful shloka in the Manusmriti. It gives the code of conduct for the sannyasin. Drishtiputam yaset padam, vastraputam jalam pibet, satyaputam vaded vacham, manahputam samacharet. The sannyasin was to go as a parivrajaka, mendicant monk. Drishtiputam yaset padam. Before you put your feet, just see, purify the path by your sight. That means, see where it is clean, where it is not clean, put your foot there where it is clean. Drishtiputa. Then he has to drink water from anywhere and everywhere. So he keeps a kamandalu and a piece of cloth. It is called pavitra, strainer. Vastraputam pibet jalam. You purify it through the cloth. Then, when you want to speak, Satyaputam vaded vacham. What I am speaking, is it true? Is it correct? Is it according to dharma? Is it going to bring about the greatest good of the greatest number? Vaded vacham. Then manahputam samachare. Conduct should be sanctioned by conscience. So this is Satya, Satyam Vada. And that is the simplest thing in life. If you tell one lie, to cover that a second, to cover that a third, then it becomes a long chain of lies. Our Harshanandji, now he is old. In the olden days, he used to speak wonderful. His speeches and writings are very simple, direct and very nice. In one place he has used the expression, Namma Jeevanave Murida Shapathagala Rashi. How nicely he has put it. We make a shapatha and then we break. So we go on speaking untruth after untruth and we go on trying to link them up. Where will we end? And we should remember, suppose everybody in the society starts telling lies to everybody else, how can we live? There is a funny story. Somebody came and said, "Oh, your house is on fire." He ran, but saw that the house was on fire. This fellow was joking. April Fool. After coming back, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ಬಾರ್ದು. Who told me a lie, and geez, I had to face so much of problems and troubles. So even in day-to-day life, telling the truth is absolutely necessary. And what about a spiritual aspirant? According to the Shastras, our whole life is a yajna, a sacrifice. Yajnopavita signifies that. Then comes dharma. The second word, dharmam chara. Long back I asked our Harshanandji Maharaj when I was a student, Swamiji, what is the meaning of the word dharma? Please explain. In my student days, I had great desire to know about Hinduism. And unfortunately, nobody, 99.9% of the people to whom I would put question, knew anything to reply, except Harshanandji. He was the only person who could answer any question, any type of question. Then he explained it wonderfully. He told me the word dharma comes from the root dhr. Dharana dharma ityahuhu. Dhr means to support. So dharma is that which supports. So the most fundamental meaning, in the most fundamental sense, dharma is God himself, because it is God who is supporting the whole creation. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, ಮೂರಕ್ಕೂ ಆಧಾರವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ. Then in a secondary sense, dharma means the spiritual discipline, yoga path that leads to God. And in the third sense, dharma means duties and responsibilities, the sense of right and wrong, that discrimination. So this is dharma. When Upanishad says dharmam chara, what does it mean? It is telling us to shape our lives as per the rules and regulations, the do's and don'ts, the code of conduct given in the scriptures, sanctioned by the Satpurushas, the great leaders, the Shreshthas of the society, and ultimately our own clean, pure conscience. All the three are necessary. Dharmam chara, act righteous. And here, the Upanishad also gives us some extra hints. Many times we just do not know. Both alternatives seem to be equally good. Should I follow this? Should I follow that? There are plus and minus here, plus and minus. What to do? Then the Upanishad says, go to those Brahmanas who are Sammarshinaha and so on, who are well versed in the Vedas, whose life and character are very good and pure. They can guide you. Do as they tell you, as they ask you to do. So we see in the Vedas have given us the ultimate truth, ekam sat vipraha bahudha vadanti. They have also said that to realize the truth is the goal of life, and what you have to do is the conduct, satyam vada dharmam chara. All this is practically applied to the individual's life. What about social life? Now we find that India of today, everybody is selfish, each for himself, by himself. Today there is an interesting article in the Indian Express, funny article, usually one article is there like that. So one party getting 273 seats in the parliament was chosen to form the government, and they formed the government. And the government consisted of 273 persons. Very interesting. Today's Indian Express. So there are cabinet ministers and then deputy ministers, and then there's ministers of state, state deputy ministers, and all sorts of things, combinations. So that is what we are today. But the Vedic rishis and the Vedic society and the Vedic view of life, Vedic philosophy of life was different. Sangachadvam, Samvadadvam, Samvomanamstam. The last four mantras of the Rig Veda, you are familiar with them. There, the commentators have given a beautiful background. A great sacrifice has just been completed. Sacrifice is a very big affair, a very complicated affair. A number of people have to join together. There must be cooperation and coordination under the direction of one great leader. Now in the process, in the karma kshetra, many times frictions come. There are differences of opinion, there are clashing of personalities. Because of that, it comes. Egoism and selfishness, these are the two primary reasons for coming into conflict with one another. But due to the wise guidance of the rishi who was managing the whole sacrifice, and due to the essential basic goodness of the people who were assisting in the sacrifice, finally everything went off smoothly. Now addressing them, the rishi is telling, Sangachadvam Samvadadvam. We have been able to successfully conduct the sacrifice, everything is over. There are minor problems and difficulties, we have given the goodwill, we have been able to solve them. Now, here afterwards, how should you live? Look at the gods. Deva bhagam yatha purve. Indra and other devas, they came. You have seen with your own eyes. They formed a queue. They came when they were called, accepted their share of the offering, and then left. How disciplined they were, you should also be like that. So, let you speak together, walk together, work together, and so on. That's the general meaning. In other words, cooperation and coordination in society. So in the individual life, aspiration for spiritual perfection, Satyam Vada Dharmanchara, and once you follow this Satyam Vada Dharmanchara, automatically social harmony is also restored, and even greater attention can be paid, particular attention can be paid to social harmony by the principle given here, Sangachadvam Samvadadvam. It doesn't mean that all our robots should speak in the same way and do in the same way. What he means is, we have to cooperate and coordinate in such a way that we can minimize the regions or areas of friction and maximize the areas of cooperation. So this is the message of our great Vedas and Upanishads, and later on developed in the Bhagavad Gita, the concept of Yajna Parasparam Bhavayantaha and so on. Today we have gathered here in the presence of the Lord, and wonderful chanting has been done, bhajan has been done. Tomorrow we'll be having the Yaga, Maharudra Yaga. Let us remember, let not these formalities or rituals become just outward formalities. Let them be imbibed in our own personal lives. The tragedy today in our life is, we know everything, but we are not following them in our life. There is a saying in English or in Kannada, ನಿದ್ದೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋರು ನೆಬ್ಬಿಸಬಹುದು, ನಿದ್ದೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗೆ ನಟನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋರು ನೆಬ್ಬಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗ. So let us be honest and straightforward to ourselves. Once we are able to reform our lives, automatically the society becomes reformed, the country becomes reformed, the leaders become reformed, we will have excellent government, excellent leaders, excellent society. So the process has to start with us, from us. Once I am able to inspire myself, once I am able to reform myself, I will get the inner courage and strength to put into practice Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. I will close this with one incident which actually actually happened in the Karnataka government a few years ago. It's very reliable information. There was an interview for a post. One post, and probably 1,000 people had applied. Then, this gentleman who was to interview them and select them got a telephone from his higher officer, the highest in the department, telling him, "You please remember that so-and-so application number so-and-so has applied. You see that he is selected. Sir, he will be selected if he deserves it. No, you should see that he is selected." And then he kept the phone. And that young man was not selected. Somebody else was selected. So after the interview was over and the selection was done, the higher officer was furious and he telephoned, and on the phone he threatened him. "You know, I have the power to put you behind the bars." "Yes, sir, I know that you have the power to put me behind the bars, but sir, I also know that you are too good and too noble to stoop to such levels." You see, it had an electric effect upon the mind of that man. It roused his higher conscience. And he said, "I am sorry," apologized and kept back. It actually happened. Now what does it show? The younger officer, he had the guts to stick to the path of Satya and Dharma. But he was also tactful. Many times, we want to speak Satya in such a way that 10 people are murdered. If I can use a very bad word. That is in such a rough way. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. So you have to speak the truth in a very nice, pleasant way, in a convincing way, so that it catches the other man's mind and heart. So ultimately, if today our country is in doldrums, we have to blame ourselves. There is no use blaming the leaders, because the leaders are a product of this society. If there are rogues and rascals in this society, the leaders also will be. That may be to the power of 2 or 3. They take advantage of this. We have an axe to grind and they take advantage of this. But if we are straightforward, if we are truthful, if we follow the path of Satya and Dharma, they dare not approach us. So let the Reformation, as Swamiji says, man making character building, let it start with ourselves. It is very easy to perform all these rituals and rites and make a show of religion outside, but if there is no transformation of life, all these things are useless. Gorkalla mele male huidante sarvajnam. Today we have any number of temples, any number of people going to places of pilgrimage, any number of pujas and vratas, and at the same time the quality of life is going down and down. I am very frank with the foreign devotees who come. Many times they come, Americans, Englishmen, French. They come from different parts of the world. They have been in touch with the Vedanta movement. They have read our books. They come like this. Some of them do pranam. They see the other devotees, Hindu devotees doing Sashtanga pranam. With great difficulty they also do. The first thing I tell them is, please do not think that the India of today is the India of the Upanishads and the Gita. Don't be under that illusion. At every step and every stage you will be cheated. Be careful. There are good people, there are bad people. But don't be under that impression. Because if they come with that impression, and if they are cheated, it will go to the other extreme. There are good people, there are bad people. So keep your wisdom in your hands. Ninnim buddhi ninnim kayagirli. One kada ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯರು. So ultimately it comes to this Satyam Vada Dharmanchara. That's the core of religion. All other things are aids in this direction. Let us remember that. Let us pray in all humility to God the Supreme, Rudra, the destroyer of all that is bad and evil. Let us pray to Him to reform us so that we become worthy of His grace, mercy and blessings. I thank Sri Venugopal, Mr. Srinivas and the other organizers here for having invited me to this nice little function and given me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts and feelings with you all this evening. May God bless you and protect you in every way. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना।